No, I don't like pictures. School pictures, you always have to stand still. Like this.
Oh.
I
Not very good at standing still?
Yeah, I tend to do this.
Big surprise.
Right?
That's all drummers.
All right. Let me see. I want to take a look at the doubles. I haven't just taken a look at that in a long time. So we'll do, how about slow, medium, fast? Yeah.
100, 120, however fast I can go.
So 8 notes at this speed, please. That was a good fix. Sure. Okay.
Like 110.
Did you consider this medium? Okay, so my beef here, starting to do this. Your pinky finger's really sticking out far.
Just give me some duct tape. Just give us some duct tape or something.
So
I actually want that.
it's actually harder to do that than if you just treat them like they're one finger and they're tied together. It's easier on your muscles if you keep them close together. It's okay if they're not lined up exactly or if your pinky finger isn't touching the stick. It doesn't need to. It just, the more you separate it from your ring finger, like this, the more distance you create, the more stress you're going to end up having on your fingers. Right? And you can even kind of feel it. Watch, put your sticks down for a sec. I think I'm just put them in here. They stay. So have your, so don't tighten it too much. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to really separate these. I want you to tell me if it starts to hurt. That doesn't hurt. That feels fine. Even fully down like this. Huh, you're pretty flexible. Yeah. So. Like for me, look, it takes my other finger with it, right?
I can actually just do that pretty
So, okay. Yeah, for my right hand I can, but on my left hand I definitely can.
I can do it better on my left hand actually.
So, the muscles in here are pretty weak and I have a hard time really separating them.
Try with my right hand cuz
a little bit more. You feel it? You feel the stretch?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you're pretty flexible. So for me, I can feel that. If I have this pressed here and you start pushing back on it, like I can feel the stretch for sure.
I mean,
so,
I can feel it.
I guess it's not.
I can feel it. It just doesn't hurt. It's like.
I guess that's true. When you were pulling on it just now, it didn't hurt. It's when I'm trying to force it back on my own that it doesn't feel good, right? So the muscles to separate these two fingers are fairly weak. That's not something that we use all the time, right? Whereas, which one gets separated from the other fingers all the time? This one, right? So this one has no problem, right?
I know.
So
it's hard to do my ring finger. I can't do my ring finger on someone.
Yeah. Well, let's not get too carried away with this idea, but
okay.
But all that to say is that the more that you fan this finger out, the more strain you're actually putting on your muscles while you're playing. If you keep them close together. Because when I'm playing, my pinky finger's not always touching, right? It's here. But the important part is that it's here like this. Yeah? Because then they're still functioning together. It's not this. Because, see, as I start to lift this, it pulls this away. So I have to try to bring this back in, but then I'm doing this back and forth thing. So the closer you have it, the easier it is. So if I were to freeze in the middle of my doubles, see? So if I'm being honest, I have a little bit of a pull right here, right? But not on this one. So my weaker hand, I do have a little bit of a pull, but it's still not very much.
Stop Stop forcing it, Zane, and try to do what he's correcting you to do.
Yeah. In fact, this might be nice since you have a camera. He can see it for himself. You go ahead. Go back to the medium one. There you go. Well. Yeah. So you can go back and you can watch the video later and you'll see it. You can see it pretty good from there, right? Yeah.
I was trying to keep it down.
I know.
Actually.
I know. Isn't that crazy? For about half of it was really good. I thought, whoa, okay. Well, we won't actually have anything on the video to check out, and then near the end of it started coming way out again.
Well,
so,
I guess if it flashes, I want to do this.
Yeah, and what you're running into now is something that everybody deals with, right? So you work a lot on technique right at the very beginning, right? It's probably hard to remember all the way back to when you first started, but a lot of it was just about how you hold your sticks, how you swing your sticks, all of that. And then as we start getting into more like fun stuff, we start doing other things, then we don't talk about technique as much. And so then what happens is bad habits start to creep in. So you have to do maintenance every once in a while.
You've corrected me on, I was holding my sticks like almost there.
Yep, I've seen you do that before too, where you're way choked back on the stick. And you know where that comes from? Why would you feel the need to do that?
I play heavy stuff. And it's just
the longer the stick is, the more leverage you have for power. But
not for speed.
Yeah, but you don't have as much. You got to try to like do something like this if you're going to try to go fast, and that's going to be wacky, right? You're going to get a lot more speed if you're at the actual balance point of the stick. Okay? So, if you needed more power, the better plan would be to get heavier sticks. Then you're not swinging as hard, and you're not choked so far back on the stick. Granted, I don't think you really should be concentrating on more power. I think you should be concentrating on less power.
Yeah, I want to be able to actually poke a hole in the drum.
Well, no. That's expensive.
That's why we have heads.
When you start buying your own heads, then yeah, you can do whatever you want to them. But while mom and dad are still buying your heads, you should do anything but that. So, okay, let's try fast.
I don't even know if I've tried like once.
How's this feel? Too easy?
I think you can go a little bit faster. 170.
Okay, watch your shoulders though. Don't pick them up to your ears.
Starting to buzz roll it.
Yeah, you're starting to get to a buzz roll. And you were starting to chicken wing too. So you kept your shoulders down because I mentioned it, but you still started the chicken wing. Okay, so yeah, I would say probably your max clean would probably be 165.
I can go clean at 170.
And even then, there's still a big difference between your right hand and your left hand on the pedal. There you go, that's sounding cleaner.
I'm trying to keep my finger in it, slow me down.
Yep, all of those things, they're important. You know how many times I had to go back and correct my bass drum technique on my left foot? Like, over 10 times. It just never seems to work. I get my left foot going, it's real clean, and then I don't do any metal for a couple months, and I start playing again, I'm realizing that bad habits are creeping back in, and my left foot has just been the biggest source of, like, frustration.
I can't even
for
do
me.
If I have a tighter kick, I can't do skiing.
It all just comes from repetition, right? So repetition with a mind for good technique. So you have to do it a lot, but not just do it a lot however you want. You have to be thinking a lot about your technique while you do it a lot. That's what's going to give you good habits, and that's what's going to make you faster.
And take away the bad habits.
Yeah. You can undo bad habits that way as well. So if you were to just say for this week, you did 10 minutes a day of just doubles, and you rubber banded your fingers together, and you just... You could probably break that habit fairly quick if you were doing 10 minutes of only doubles with rubber banded fingers, right? But...
What about singles? Do
I'm not seeing it as much. But you're using more wrist and less finger when you're doing singles.
I can't.
Yeah.
I use my fingers. Yeah, my fingers when I do this.
Well, but you see how that works. Even if it were singles, right? I'm not using my. I'm not. You see the difference? Flat wrist.
I'm trying to rock it.
So it would be the same thing when you're doing singles. You know, you just keep them together here. You can see it a little bit in my left, huh? It's always the left. So my right hand, my wrist is not moving hardly at all. My left, you could see it going.
Your left is my right.
Yeah. So that's just always going to be a problem, but it's no big deal. All right. So, let's talk about jazz. I started Ben on it the other day, and he actually, this is the first student I've had so far that I started him on jazz reading, and he was all in. He was really excited. He's like, I'm gonna learn all this. I'm gonna do this all day at home. He was really pumped. I haven't had any other students like that so far. So
especially not me.
He might catch up to you at jazz just because of how bad he wants it. So
Yeah, 100%.
he loves I showed you that one groove, right? That like he affectionately calls it the super mambo. You know which one I'm talking about?
I do remember.
That thing? He loves that thing.
I can't.
It's alright.
Can't do it.
It's alright. I think I had you learn it
Yep.
once.
You
You
did.
had me learn
But
it, and I
he
forgot.
plays it like every day. That's his favorite. So, he's really into Latin and into jazz. All right. So, for jazz, how about let's start back at the beginning for today?
What?
What?
Sure. I mean,
No.
as long as I don't have to do everything with it. I don't.
All right.
You know how much I like jazz compared to how much Ben likes jazz.
All right.
Big difference.
Let's take a look here. Oh, we don't need this anymore.
Yeah. Well, unless you want me to somehow. I'll just make it work.
All right. So, did you have a chance to work on this week?
Nope.
Okay. I asked you to do 1, 2, 3 lines, right? Did you have a chance to look at any of them at all? No.
The 3 lines you had him work on actually were the Jet song, but he didn't do that.
Well, I remember doing that here in the book too.
Yeah.
These 3 specifically. I remember talking about it because I was going to give him these 2, and then I looked at it and went, "Wait a minute, these 2 lines are exactly the same." So
That's
I added a
right.
third one.
That's right. Okay.
I just couldn't get it.
We've been
You couldn't get it, or you didn't
Super
give
busy.
it time.
I didn't have. I went in twice overall this week. And
Okay, so you-
one was today. One was.
So you practiced twice, and
It was-
neither time you looked at it,
No, it
or
was
you did
AAR.
look at it.
I didn't look at it. It was AAR.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're gonna do it today. So first things first, we gotta review the ones that we did, right? Because you didn't touch it this week. So if you didn't touch it this week, we gotta review. So let's go with the top line. Take a look at it. Figure out how it's supposed to go.
Did do any of this?
We did the first 2 lines.
They did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to remember.
It's on video.
Show me the
I
video.
have evidence.
Show me the video.
Zane, just stop fussing with it, read it, and get it done so you can work on your song.
Mm-hmm. always kind of a mess trying to get you started on it. But when things start to click and it starts to actually sound pretty good, usually you get pretty excited. So,
I'm not sure if I'm going to do it right now.
so what would be really cool is if we jump straight to that mindset where it's like, I'm going to nail this today. And we actually have fun with it instead of feeling like it's pulling teeth.
Agreed.
I'm not sure if I'm reading this right or I'm not.
Then sing it out loud like you always has to do.
Then what do? If you're not sure, what's the plan?
Go through it, see if it's right.
So what's step one? What do I always tell you is the first thing that you're going to do?
Try to get a general idea of what it is.
That was very vague. No, first things first, you break it into pieces. I say the same thing every time, right? With Ben, I've started calling them jazz letters, right?
I'm breaking them into pieces.
So break them into little pieces. You know what they are, right?
I'm understanding the pieces. I don't know. I remember what they are.
So you forget the patterns every time we come in here? Because I feel like we have this conversation every time. Once you get going on it, you're fine.
It's the literal. It's this. I don't know if it's Roomba or
this right here.
Yes.
Well, what is that? What is it?
Count.
Okay.
Well, I don't see the count.
How about better yet, where is it? What count is it on?
1 and.
And of 1, yeah. It's on the end of 1. And is it a long note or a short note?
Medium note?
Well, okay, that's fair. So a medium note, right? So it's not short, which means you're not going to bark it. Barking is only when it's short and almost always when there's a rest afterwards or it's the end of the song. You're not going to bark very often. Like, this would be a good time to bark, right? Because there's a rest right here, and then you got a big crash. So that's a perfect time to do it. That's a good time to do it right there, right? But this isn't necessarily a good time to bark because you still got time here. They don't want you to break time. Right? You keep it moving. Whereas here, that's a break. Here, that's a break. Here, that's a break. So those are good times for barking, right? So other than that, that means that this is going to be what?
Roomba?
Yeah. Upbeat of 1, medium or long. Yeah. I didn't tell you what any of the letters were, right? Yeah, for some reason, this is always the gear that's really tough to shift into. I don't think that it's too hard for you, though.
It leaves my mind when it comes back.
Yeah, something. I don't know how much of it is an attitude thing. I don't know how much of it is a...
100%.
Yeah.
It's not attitude.
Then snap it up and stop acting like you're tired and acting like you're thinking. It's like when I ask you your math questions and I go +1 or -1 and you have to think about it. You don't need to think about +1 or -1, right? So put your mind in the right place and do it.
So it's by this point, with the amount of time that we've spent on this, we only really have like 4 things that you're trying to remember at any one time, right? You have Dooba Dooba,
Roomba,
Rough Bark, or Roomba. They're basically the same, right? Roomba is just the longer one. So they're the same. I count them as the same, right? One's just short, one's long. Okay? You have Setup, and you have Rough into Downbeat, right? Those are really the 4 things that you're looking at for the most part, right? Other than that, what else are you looking at? That's just a 2-beat. Boom, bop, boom, bop. You don't have to think about those, right? If I put a piece of music in front of you and it just had quarter notes all the way across, would you have to think about that? No. That's pretty easy, right? So you really only have a couple things that you have to remember. So somehow we've got it swimming around in this whole big like umbrella that's jazz. But when I point at something, it really is only a couple different choices, at least at first. Later on, when you start to add your own flavors and stuff, you can come up with all kinds of stuff. But at first, really right now you should be thinking, is it rough bark or is it doobie-doo-bah? Almost always. 50-50 choice. Right? Then the other ones are going to be when there's a break. Do you rough into a downbeat here or do you set up? Do you rough into a downbeat here or do you set up? Do you rough into a downbeat here or do you set up? You know what I mean? So when there's space, you think about the other two. When there's notes, you think about the first two, right? So it's kind of a 50-50 choice either way, which isn't so bad, right? You remember all your letters in the English alphabet, and there's way more of those, right? This is just 50-50, half and half. So this should be a lot easier. For some reason, we're not really that compartmentalized, right? So let's try something here. I'm going to try to put this down visually so that your brain picks up on it, right? So we have notes. Here's yes. Here's no. Okay? So are there notes? Yes or no?
Yes.
If yes, is it, let me shorten this, do-ba, or is it rough bark or roomba, whichever one you're going to call it, okay? Is it this or this? No, then are you going to set up
or rough into down? They are
rough into one. That's not really a lot of choices, right? So other than that, really, at least for the stuff that we're doing right now, it's all quarter notes. So I don't need to really designate quarter notes, right? So if there's something on here, you're looking at it, you're not sure what to do with it, that's what we're gonna do. So let's go through it like that, just so that you can teach yourself how easy this really is, right? What do we have here?
Note.
You have a note, which means it's this or this?
Bottom.
Bottom. Good.
Room
Quarters. What is this? Note or no note?
No.
Which one?
Top.
Top one. Note or no note?
No, no.
Okay, top or bottom?
Set up.
In this case, either one would work actually, because that's on the end of one. You can rough into a downbeat, which sets up your roomba, right? But you can also set up a roomba. You get kind of a double setup in that case, right? Because roomba and rough bark come with setups, right? Okay. Quarter, 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 quarter. What's that? Note or no note?
No.
Note. Which one?
Bottom.
Yep. Note or no note?
No.
Which one?
Top.
Yep.
No, I guess it's a no because it's...
Technically, but you hit on beat one and you don't do anything with the whole rest of the bar, right? So that's going to count as no note.
No, no. And which one is it? Neither. It's just time.
Yeah, you just play time through it because there's a whole lot. Sure, that'll work. And then...
No.
No note.
I thought you were pointing to the next one.
Right here.
No,
no note. So that's going to be some kind of setup.
Setup.
Here's this.
Note. And then that's down.
Rough bark, bark.
Mm-hmm.
Setup.
Setup.
Just crashes. Yep. Roomba.
Mm-hmm.
Dooba-dooba.
Yes.
Dooba-dooba.
Yes.
Quarter.
Yes.
Dooba-dooba. Roughing it down. Roomba.
Same thing.
Dooba-dooba. Dooba-dooba. Dot. Dooba-dooba. Set up. Bop. Rough bark, bark. Crash. Bop. Bop. Just quarters all the way through. Boom. Boom. Bop. Boom. Bop. Boom. Bop. Boom. Bop. Rough bark. Crash. Right? Ba-doo-ba. Bop. Bop. Dooba-dooba. Bop. Bop. Dooba-dooba. Bop. Bop. Rough bark. Bark. Crash. Bop. Bop. Ba. Dooba-dooba. You see what I mean? You're picking one of two choices for everything that's here.
So you got 25% of getting it right.
Not really. It's more like a 50-50. Because if there are notes, you got 50-50. Unless it's quarter notes, then I guess you could technically call it something else. But your quarter notes are just filler rhythms. You're not tripping about quarter notes. You play quarter notes all day, right? Is this helping? Is this compartmentalizing? Because yeah, the point is that this is a simple, like, it's almost like yes or no. It's like 50-50. So with as much time as we've spent on this should be at a point where it's getting easier, not resetting every time. And then I have to show it to you, and then we don't touch it for a week or 2 weeks, and then it resets, and I have to show you again, and then we don't touch it for a week or 2 weeks, and then it resets, and I have to show you again, right?
It's the endless cycle.
Yeah, we're just kind of looping here. Okay? So I know that it's not your favorite thing to do. Okay? But learning new things is not always fun, but it's fun once it works. The best example that I know from my life is my dad used to talk about how awesome water skiing was. Do you know what water skiing is? Okay? He used to talk about it all the time. All the time. Oh, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. He took us out in the boat, and he was going to teach us how to do it. It sucks to learn how to water ski. You sit out in the water, and you're cold. The boat wraps around. You grab a hold of the rope, and then he pulls it out until it's tight, and then you call out, hit it. He guns it, and you try to get up out of the water. But almost always the stick is going to, or the handle is going to rip out of your hands. You're going to get blisters. It's going to hurt. It's going to bleed. Then they pull the boat around again, and then you got to do it again. And you got to do it again. You got to do it again. You got to do it again. It sucks. But then you finally get up out of the water one time, and you're flying across the surface of the water. The air blowing past you like dries you off, so you're not cold anymore, and you're kind of swinging around from side to side. You're going fast and all this stuff. It is super fun, but it sucked to get there, okay? I don't think that this is as bad as that. I think this can be fun if you let it be fun. If you were to decide that you want to be able to do this, think back to when I showed you Out of Nowhere. When you listened to me playing that, you thought it was cool. In fact, the next week you said, can we listen to it again? That was really cool. I liked it. Okay? That's the goal that we're working towards. We're working towards this idea where this is going to be really fun to do. But my brothers gave up. They didn't like that it was tearing up their hands. It was making them tired. They were cold. It felt like a big waste of time because the boat kept going around over and over and over again. They never learned how to do it. It was never worth it for them because they gave up, right? But for me, who did push through and get to a point where I could get up on the water, it was a lot of fun. It's worth it, okay? So my big thing is I want to keep having these talks with you, right? I want to just jump into it and go. We waste a lot of time trying to kind of settle you down when you're getting stressed or snap you out of a bad mood or whatever. If we come in and we've been working on our jazz during the week, you come in here and we just have a good attitude, we hit it hard, you're going to learn this stuff real quick and you're going to get to the fun stuff faster. Ben's going to get to the fun stuff before you do. And he's going to be the one up on the water, like having a good time, and you're going to be the one still in the water. I want you to get there. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you get to a point where you can sight read jazz charts, I can bring you into the high school band. Have you sit down in front of a bunch of high school kids and rip out these cool jazz charts in front of high school kids. Wouldn't that be fun? That'd be crazy, right? I'd love to give that for you, okay? But we got to figure this out, okay? So if it's a problem, something isn't sticking, you don't understand something, you need help remembering it, then fine, let me know that. But I don't really like having to start over on teaching you the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? That's baby stuff. And you do a lot better than that, right? I think you do. Yeah. Okay. So, you got your choices, right? Let's rip through it. Let's get it quick. Especially the first 2 lines, you've already done them before. So it's not that you can't. Just engage your brain and remember. Okay? So let's do pieces. What is this? Bop, bop. Yep. Keep going. 4-1. Yep. You hit a bass on 1. Great. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. As soon as you were serious about it, you knocked out the whole thing in like 15 seconds. Right? You can do it. It's not too hard for you. Yeah? Are we feeling a little bit better? We're feeling like you can do this? Okay, good, because that's what I want for you. I don't want it to be a slog for you either. I want you to have fun. All right? Cool. Can you put the whole thing together now? Give it a try. Oh. little long in the second, right? Maybe that's a little bit fast.
And that's pretty quick.
Yeah, that's pretty fast. Actually, what about this? You got more time to think. A Roomba, boom, bop, doo, doo, bop. I gave you just a little bit more time to think, and then you nailed it on your first try. Yeah? Let's get pumped. Let's be excited. We're going to knock this thing out.
You're turning into Arlo. Smile.
This can be really fun. Again.
You can go play with college kids if you get really good with it.
Yeah, you play with high school kids. We'll do all kinds of stuff. I'll pull out congas. We can jam together. Whatever you want to do. Take turns soloing.
Can we just listen to music the entire time?
Just listen to music the entire time.
And try to play it. First, listen, you have to play a song you never heard before.
If they're jazz tunes.
No. Isn't rock technically jazz? If
Is rock technically jazz?
If I mix jazz, then I can play it.
You heard it here, YouTube.
Yeah. No kidding.
Is rock
It's jazz and rock.
All right. So, that was good. So now, check it out.
Twice.
These two are exactly the same. So, let's work it out. What's that? So, this is a little tricky. Ba, dooba, dooba. Don't get tricked by that second quarter note, right? 2, 3, 4, dooba, dooba. That's the whole thing, right? Want to do with the metronome or without first?
Just give me the metronome.
Okay. Don't get too fancy with the ending because you're going to have to loop, right? So if you were to then go for a room, that sets up your ba, right? Room, ba. You're ready to go again. If you rough into a downbeat here, you're already ready to go. See how it works? Rough into downbeat and room ba are related. Yep.
You're hitting them off. It's...
The only difference is the snare on the end of one. Depending,
you have to wait.
If in a situation where there's a rest on beat 1 like this, yeah. 2, 3, 4, room, ba, 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 ba. Right?
Because if you room in the 1,
then you have to hit the and of 1.
Yeah, so it does this.
Not on this. It's the and of 1. Ba, 1 and. That's not a quarter note rest. This is a quarter note rest. So you wouldn't hit this on 2, you hit it on the end of 1. Do you understand what I'm saying or no?
No, it's just... If it's a real robot, I'm doing it on 1.
So, I think your brain is making it more complicated than it needs to be.
No, my brain doesn't understand what
Okay, then let me help. Okay? I'm happy to help. So, when we rough into downbeat, right? That's all it is. Right? So room ba, then we're just adding and of 1. 2, 3, 4. Right? That's the only difference.
If I do that to the metronome, it says in 1. I land on 1, not the end. So this is 1, not 1.
Well, then you're starting your rough a little bit early. It's a 1 and.
And then
1, 2, 3, 4, a 1 and. Yeah. When you hit on 2 is going to be something like this. And oftentimes, what could you use here, actually? It's a certain kind of bucket.
Bucket of fish?
You could use bucket of fish here. 1, 2, 3, bucket of fish. Bop, rough, bark, bark, crash. Bop, boom, boom, boom. Except that's a short note, so you wouldn't crash it. Yeah, you could do that. Or you could maybe just hit it from there. Bucket of fish. Bop, rough, bark, bark. Alright. So, play both of these lines together and then we're done with jazz. Okay? Get both of them together. Play one into the other one. One, two, three, four. Recovered that, but even if not, that's fine. Just run it again. No one expects you to make no mistakes.
Deep breath.
I don't know what the deal is here, because when you make a mistake when you're working on rock music, when you make a mistake when you're working on All American Rejects, when you make a mistake when we're working on basically anything else, you just shrug it off and you're fine. And then we can keep going. But it's like if you even make one mistake in jazz, you just fall apart. Do you have some expectation that all of your jazz is supposed to be perfect all the time?
Get your face out of your shirt, Zane. That's not your shirt, remember?
Because it's not.
Stop pulling the neck. Listen to what he's saying.
It is okay. Do you trust me when I tell you that it's okay? There's nothing for you to be upset about. You can tough it out. Yeah? I give you hard stuff because you can play hard stuff. Look at all the things that you've accomplished, all the Rachel concerts, and I'm talking about bringing you in to play with high school kids. I'm proud of you all the time. I talk about you all the time. You don't have anything to be upset about. Just because you don't nail something on the first try doesn't mean that you're falling apart or that you suck. Right? Does it undo everything that you've ever done just because you made a mistake or two? No. It's tough. It's another language. But you're gonna be fine, dude. You gotta just shrug it off. Get up, dust yourself off, and run it again. It's no problem. Even if it took you 10 tries, 20 tries. It almost never takes you that many tries. But even if it did, I don't care. It doesn't matter how many tries it takes you. Because you're going to get it, and then you're going to be a rock star. Just like you always do. Right? Anything that I've ever shown you before that was really hard, you eventually get the hang of it, and then you can whip it out really fast. And confident. This is just another thing that's new. It has to be okay for you to make mistakes. They're not even big mistakes. It's like, oops, I accidentally let one beat slip. So what? It's no big deal. I've made mistakes worse than that live on stage in front of an audience. Making tiny little mistakes in here during a lesson? Please, it's no big deal at all. Okay? So, How can we fix this?
Run it again and again.
Okay, but how can I help you? How can I help make it easier for you to make some mistakes?
What do I tell you in baseball and soccer?
What?
Stay.
Out of your head.
Stay out of your head. Okay, sure. What happens when you make a mistake? Do you start telling yourself that you're a failure, or why? Don't do that.
I could have done better.
That's you will do better.
That's the better answer, what he just said.
Yeah, what the heck?
I could have means you're never going to try again. I will means you're going to.
I could have means you don't get another chance. The quicker you just jump back into it, the quicker you get another chance. We could be done with this page, but we spent probably 20 minutes trying to like cheer you up and get you into a good attitude, right? We spend a lot of time. This feels like it's taking forever for two reasons. For one, you're avoiding it at home. And for two, I have to calm you down all the time while you're playing it. If you were to run this at home and come in here with a good attitude, ready to go, we'd be done with this already. We'd be into these jazz charts and you'd be having a good time. We'd be learning jazz songs the same way that you're learning AAR and whatever else. It would be fun. These would be fun things that you would be working on. But somehow you've demonized this. You've turned it into the devil, and you just don't. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go anywhere near it. I'll do it because everybody's making me. But I don't like this, and I don't want to be a part of it. It's not scary. This wasn't scary. It's the same thing, dude.
That was easier. That's wrong.
Of course.
That's wrong.
But it's the same thing. They're both reading. It's just reading. The reading is a little bit different, yeah. But it's just reading. You're a good reader in English. You can read like rock music. You could rip through this book in probably 10 minutes. Every exercise.
Yes.
Boom, 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 boom. Go through this whole book. Bam.
Took you over a month just to the first page.
Remember that? It's gonna be the same thing. Okay? This became fun once you got the hang of it. But we're taking a long time to get the hang of this because you're resisting. You're not really wanting to do it, which means you're not doing it at home. And then when you're here, you've got something blocking. So let's just get out of our head, work on it this week. Try to figure out a way to make it fun. Figure it out. Well, when I do it like this, it's more fun. Or when I promise myself that I get to play whatever I want to play when I'm done with it, then it becomes fun because it's a challenge. The high school kids, we had a rehearsal on Tuesday, and they're really hustling to try to get this thing done because the first competition's on Saturday. And one of them came up to me and he said, if we can play it perfect 3 times in a row at full speed, can we go home early? I said, yeah. Fine, bet, let's try. And then all of a sudden, boom, they kicked into gear and they worked really hard and they got to go home 15 minutes early. They made it into a game. It was fun for them. They were all laughing and poking fun at each other. One person would mess up and they're like, ah! Like, come on, man, get your head in the game. And then they would go and they'd get back into it. And then we'd run it again and again and again and again. It took them a long time to get 3 in a row. It took them probably a half hour before they could get 3 in a row. And then they got to leave 15 minutes early. But they got it. Yeah? They won at the end. So, don't let this be the bad guy that beats you. Okay? This doesn't have to beat you. You can beat this. Yeah? The bad guy in a book or something. I don't know. Right?
Batman and who?
I said like the bad guy in a book.
Yeah, but still, who's the bad guy for Batman?
Joker, Two-Face.
Sure, I don't care. Whoever. The bad guy's name will be Jazzman.
There we
Zane's
go.
the hero who beats Jazzman in the end.
No, he's just gonna beat me.
He's going to beat you at first, right? That's how it works in a book. He beats you at the beginning of the book, but who wins at the end of the book? The good guy. Most of the time.
Very there.
I guess it depends on the book.
Yeah, sorry,
Probably the books that you're reading, the good guy wins at the end.
Since I'm reading young adult books, maybe.
Frank and Joe Hardy do what at the end of the book?
Win every time.
Solve the case.
Okay, but that's...
So we're at the beginning of the book where it's kicking your butt, but you gotta... Alright, this time I'm gonna win. Yeah? Alright, so starting next week, we're gonna try to beat this, okay? We're gonna beat the attitude. We're going to beat the frustration. You can mess it up 20 times in a row. And as long as you're laughing and you're just getting back in and you're doing it again, it's not beating you. Every mistake that you make, that's not it winning. You breaking down and crying, that's when it wins. Yeah? When you give me an attitude and you don't want to do it, that's when it wins. If every time you make a mistake, you laugh it off and you go back in, that's you winning. That's what grown-ups have to do. They have to figure it out. Okay? They have to do things that they don't want to do. They have to put their head down, push their way through it. And if you can find a way to make it fun and laugh it off as you do it, you're going to be a happier person in the long run. Right? If you whine and complain about everything that comes across your life, you're going to end up being kind of miserable. Yeah? So let's make a game out of it. Let's figure it out. Let's make it fun. I want Zane to win in the end. I'm reading the book, and he's getting his butt kicked right now, and I don't want his butt kicked anymore. I want him to win. He's got to beat this jazz man. So we're going to keep reading the book. We're going to get to the end where Zane beats Jazzman, yeah? All right. Okay, well, that chewed up the lesson, okay? But next week's going to be better, right? Mean it.
I mean it.
Okay. All right, next week's going to be better. You saw it. YouTube saw it. Next week's going to be better. Okay.